Well, I've been blamed, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 years now.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're looking at some of the biggest scapegoats in human history. For this list, we're looking at specific historical figures, not mythological ones like Pandora.
What treasure was so great it could never be seen by human eyes?
Marie Antoinette. She never actually said let them eat cake, but that doesn't really matter to an angry mob.
No longer content with a constitutional monarchy and the end of noble and clerical privilege, many were now in favor of dispensing with both the monarchy and the church altogether.
Or to pop history. As France starved and revolution brewed, Marie Antoinette became the face of elite indifference.
Marie Antoinette likely never thought about how her actions appeared to others until it was too late.
Foreign, fashionable, and famously out of touch, she was blamed for everything from empty bread shelves to collapsing royal coffers. Never mind that her spending was a drop in the bucket compared to France's war debts.
France's leading role against Britain in the 7 Years' War of 1756 to 1763 had drained its treasury, as did support of the American Revolution of 1775 to 1782.
When the guillotine came down, it was less about justice and more about symbolism. She didn't cause the revolution, but history made her the scapegoat in a powdered wig.
Oh, Mama, think of it. I shall be queen. I shall be queen of France.
Andrés Escobar. In Game 6 of the 1986 World Series, a slow ground ball slipped between Bill Buckner's legs. That error ultimately cost the Sox the series. Buckner was booed, harassed, and basically exiled from Boston for years.
It's, shown on TV, which, I see at least once or twice a week for 23 years.
Now imagine that, but with bullets. At the 1994 World Cup, Colombian defender Andrés Escobar accidentally scored an own goal against the U.S. A few days later, he was gunned down outside a Medellin nightclub.
It was at 3:30 a.m. in front of this restaurant. 27-year-old Andrés Escobar got into his car.
He was a victim of cartel-linked gamblers furious over their losses. One slip turned him into a scapegoat for a nation's humiliation.
It's a complete lack of respect for life,
Unlike Buckner, Escobar never got a second chance. Alger Hess. He helped shape the post-war order. Then he got accused of being a traitor in a tailored suit.
These documents were fed out of the State Department over 10 years ago by communists who were employees of that department and who were interested in seeing that these documents were sent to the Soviet Union, where the interests of the Soviet Union happened to be in conflict with those of the United States.
Alger Hiss was a Harvard-educated golden boy, a key figure at Yalta and the founding of the United Nations. But in 1948, ex-communist Whittaker Chambers named him as a Soviet spy. Hiss denied it. Washington lit up. There were typewriters, secret microfilm, even pumpkin patches hiding documents.
5 rolls of microfilm, which were called the pumpkin film because he took them to a pumpkin patch by his farmhouse in Westminster, Maryland, took the top off, and here these had been waiting such a dramatic exposure.
Hiss was eventually convicted, not of spying, but of perjury. That didn't matter. To millions, he was proof the enemy was already inside the gates. He became a Cold War boogeyman. Hiss was both the spark that lit Nixon's rise and McCarthy's witch hunts. He was blamed, buried, and weaponized, more myth than man by the time it was over.
I knew enough about politicians to know what political ambition sometimes leads people to do.
J. Robert Oppenheimer. He built the bomb that ended a war, then got cast as the man who opened Pandora's box. J. Robert Oppenheimer led the Manhattan Project, ushering in the atomic age with the blast at Trinity.
Clearly, there was a radical break in international affairs in 1945.
But victory turned sour almost overnight. As the U.S. stockpiled nukes, Oppenheimer spoke out. He opposed the creation of a hydrogen bomb, warning against an arms race. He eventually questioned the morality of the monster he helped unleash.
We had the pride of thinking we knew what was good for man. And I do think it has left a mark on many of those who were responsibly engaged.
The government turned on him. In 1954, his security clearance was revoked after a brutal hearing laced with Cold War paranoia. He wasn't a traitor, he wasn't a spy, but he became the face of American guilt, blamed not just for building the bomb, but for daring to regret it.
Mr. President, I feel that I have blood on my hands.
Rudolph Hess. Even the Nazis didn't know what to do with Rudolph Hess. In 1941, Hitler's longtime deputy flew solo to Scotland on a bizarre, unauthorized peace mission.
On the 10th of May 1941, Rudolph Hess, the deputy leader of Nazi Germany, set off on a solo flight from Germany over the North Sea towards Britain.
He was promptly captured, denounced by Hitler as mentally ill, and disowned by the Nazi regime. After the war, Hess stood trial at Nuremberg despite playing no role in the Holocaust or frontline strategy.
Hess was in poor physical condition when he arrived to Nuremberg in the autumn of 1945. He weighed little more than 10 stone and was paranoid that his captors in Britain had been poisoning his food.
He was sentenced to life in prison. For over 40 years, Hess rotted in Spandau prison. To Germans, he was a symbol of guilt, desperately forgotten. To the Allies, he was a war criminal who deserved his fate. But to many, Hess may have been involved, but he wasn't a mastermind. He was a fall guy.
Rudolf Hess was in many ways the last of the senior Nazis to die.
Yoko Ono. She didn't actually break up the Beatles, but millions of fans still act like Yoko Ono personally unplugged the amps. Ono was an avant-garde artist, activist, and John Lennon's creative partner. But when the world's most famous band imploded, she got the blame.
The best couple of the year goes to John and Yoko.
Never mind the clashing egos, business tensions, and growing creative rifts. Yoko became the easy target. She was too weird, too loud, too visible. To some, she wasn't John's partner, but a witch who ensorcelled him. She was a wedge, they said. Decades later, the narrative is slowly shifting, but for years, Yoko Ono carried the weight of a breakup she didn't cause, just because she was there when it happened.
It is probably actually healthy that people jab me, and I was turning that negative energy into positive energy.
William Tinddale. William Tinddale gave English speakers the word scapegoat, then himself was literally scapegoated to death. In reality, all Tinddale ever did was translate part of the Bible into English so regular people could actually read it, but the church wasn't having it.
Since 1408, the Oxford Commission had forbidden the translation of the Bible into the English language, even prohibiting its use in the training curriculum for preachers.
He was branded a heretic, hunted across Europe, and finally betrayed by a supposed friend. They strangled him and burned his body at the stake. He was blamed for stirring rebellion. He was blamed for undermining authority.
His last words were, "Lord, open the King of England's eyes."
Tinddale paid the ultimate price for spreading ideas that terrified the powerful. The ultimate twist? The very word used to describe history's fall guys is a gift from one of its earliest.
Within 1 year of his death, a Bible was placed in every parish church throughout the whole of England by order of the king.
Leon Trotsky. Leon Trotsky was Lenin's right-hand man. Like his friend, his name has long been synonymous with the Communist Revolution.
The two men developed an immediate bond. Lenin took Trotsky on as his apprentice, setting him to work as a writer for his communist newspaper, Iskra.
He was the architect of the Red Army and one of the brightest minds of early Soviet power. But after Lenin's death, Stalin needed an enemy to consolidate his own rule.
He claimed that Trotsky was trying to cause divisions within the party by trying to push out the old guard in favor of younger members who were more inclined to his will.
Trotsky, with his intellect and independence, made the perfect foil. He was expelled, exiled, and turned into the ultimate scapegoat for everything that went wrong in Stalin's USSR. Grain shortages? Trotsky's fault. Dissent? Take a look at that Trotsky guy. In 1940, even exile couldn't save him. Stalin's assassin found him in Mexico City and took him out for good.
According to James Buchanan, the secretary of the Socialist Workers' Party in the USA, Trotsky's last words were, "I will not survive this attack. Stalin has finally accomplished the task he attempted unsuccessfully before." He died the next day.
Sacko and Vanzetti. Two immigrants walked into a courtroom and never breathed the free air again. In 1920, Nicola Sacco and Bartolomeo Vanzetti were arrested for robbery and murder outside Boston.
Both were carrying handguns when arrested, and both were caught lying to the police when questioned.
The evidence was thin, but the atmosphere was thick with fear. They were Italian immigrants, they were radicals, and in post-World War I America, that was enough.
Sacco and Vanzetti were essentially the poster children of what many thought was everything that was wrong in America at that time. They were immigrants, they were leftist anarchists, they were believed to have committed murder.
Their trial was a circus of bias, bigotry, and political paranoia. Despite global protests and serious doubts about their guilt, both men were executed by electric chair in 1927. Sacco and Vanzetti didn't just die for a crime. They died for being immigrants at the wrong time. A century later, it's a reminder. When fear runs the show, scapegoats are never in short supply.
Whatever the true verdict, the case of Sacco and Vanzetti had a huge impact on society, especially calling attention to a corrupt system.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Mrs. Oolirs Cow. A hoof kicked over a lantern and poof, Chicago goes up in flames. That's the myth anyway. The truth? A reporter made it up. The cow was innocent, so we'll stop milking this one.
Definitely the stuff that myths are made of.
Alfred Dreyfus. Captain Alfred Dreyfus didn't betray France, yet that didn't stop France from betraying him.
Young Dreyfus resolved to become a soldier and to devote his life to uphold the honor of France.
In 1894, Dreyfus, a Jewish officer in the French army, was wrongfully convicted of passing secrets to Germany.
In October 1894, Captain Alfred Dreyfus was charged with passing military secrets to Colonel Max von Schwarzkoppen, the German military attaché in Paris.
The real evidence was flimsy. The forged evidence was worse. But Dreyfus checked all the wrong boxes for a nation boiling over with anti-Semitism and fear. He was publicly stripped of his rank and exiled to Devil's Island. His reputation was savaged by the press. Dreyfus became a national punching bag. Even after the truth emerged, it took years of protests and political chaos to claw back his name. The Dreyfus affair didn't just tarnish one man. It cracked open divides that haunted France and the world for generations.
In the presence of family and friends, Dreyfus received the Cross of the Légion d'honneur in the same courtyard at the École Militaire in which he had been degraded 12 years earlier. France, before the world, declared Dreyfus innocent.
Who do you think got the rawest deal in history? Drop your pick in the comments below.
Forgive my weakness. We must have courage.